Hello.
Welcome to our car podcast because we decided to take an embroidery class today, but we're committed.
This is the old, Apple earbud microphone, like the wired ones. So if it sounds
We're
really
being
bad.
performative males right now.
Honestly though, I love these headphones. Bring them back.
Yippee. So do you remember when I was road tripping with oh no, you don't remember. I remember when I was road tripping with my parents and we were going through we were trying to get to California. We were in Las Vegas for my 21st birthday, which I didn't want to go to Las Vegas, but my dad wanted to go to Vegas and he made me drink a martini and I was not happy about it. But we were going through the Grand Canyon and Utah and Colorado and all these different places that have a lot of Native American reservations on it. And I was so amazed because here in South Carolina, I guess the main reservation we're exposed to is near Pigeon Forge, Cherokee, and that's a whole village. They've made tourism out of their culture, which is so fine. They're doing it on their terms. But what most Native American reservations look like nowadays are just strings of trailers, just kind of sitting together in pockets. Their home is a trailer, hospital might be a trailer, grocery store might be a trailer. It's just a lot of trailers stringed together. And so, yeah, they're deprived of their land and their resources.
It's really sad. Oh, am I supposed to speak now?
Yes.
Sorry, I thought you were just taking a pause. Okay, so we are not covering a Mary or a Maria or a Marie today. So somebody give us a round of applause.
Yippee.
We found someone who was not that named. Anyway, so instead we will be talking about Dr. Susan La Flesche. Okay, Susan La Flesche Picotte, the first Native American to earn a medical degree and a woman, obviously.
But she wasn't just the first female Native American, she was just straight up the first Native American to have a medical degree.
Very cool.
Yeah. So, Susan La Flesche was born in a small teepee. I'm not being racist. Literally, the website said she was born in a teepee. And the website, I think, was historically accurate. But she was born on a Omaha reservation in the remote Nebraska territory on June 17th, 1865, to Joseph La Flesche and his wife, Mary Gail La Flesche. Sorry, we couldn't escape the Marys. There had to be one Mary in here. But this is one of the few instances where we actually know quite a bit about Susan's family, her early life, and it's really, they were such an impressive family, and it was highly documented. So before we talk about Susan herself, we're just gonna kind of give a moment to her family as well. So Susan's father was the last recognized chief of the Omaha Native Americans. His native name, I'm not gonna pronounce this correctly, was Estemaza, which translates to Iron Eye. His father was a French fur trader, and his mother was from the Omaha Ponca tribe. So these are Susan's grandparents. When Iron Eye, so Susan's father, when he was young, he was adopted by the Omaha chief, Big Elk. And when Big Elk died, Iron Eye took over and succeeded him. He also signed the last Omaha Treaty in creating the Winnebago Tribal Reservation. There's a little bit of what's the word? Some people liked it, some people didn't, because it was if we do XYZ, America's gonna take our land, but they'll give us more freedom and rights, but then they didn't actually do that. So, America just took their land and then didn't give them rights. So, he was an important, prominent figure that was controversial.
1 second, microphone adjustment.
We're gonna hear.
Yeah, quickly. So, Susan's mother, Mary Gail La Flesche, was known as Hinawaga's nun?
I guess.
Sorry. But according to different sources, this was either translated as the one woman or old woman. She was the daughter of Army physician Dr. John Gale and an Omaha, Iowa native named Nicomi. After John died, Nicomi married Peter Sarpy, who was a local trader. He helped raise Mary, he paid for her education, and taught her to speak in French as well as English. So we're certainly starting off strong. Because of her parents and her grandparents, Susan already had more opportunities than many other Native American girls her age. Susan's oldest sister, Suzette Bright Eyes, was a translator and worked with Chief Standing Bear in the preservation of Omaha Ponca and the Lakota. So she traveled mostly through the eastern U.S. of advocating for Native American citizenship.
Susan's second oldest sister, Rosalie, spent her entire life on the Omaha reservation and raised 10 children.
Whoa.
That's a lot of kids. Not Susan. Rosalie was considered like the businesswoman of like the tribe. Like everyone like knew her. Like she was running the tribe's affairs, and it was basically like a home base for the LaFlesche family. And like they were off doing all their crazy things across the East Coast and all that. And they'd always come back to Rosalie's home. Then we have Marguerite, who was sister number 3. So Susan's actually the youngest of the 4 sisters. And Marguerite was a teacher and interpreter at the reservation school. There were also 3 half-siblings from Iron Eye's second wife, Tyne? I don't know how to say that. Her white name was Elizabeth. But their oldest was Francis, who had his bachelor's and master's from George Washington University, and he became the first Native American ethnologist. Ethnology is like a branch of like anthropology, but it's like more focusing on like cultures and like people, but like culture mostly. And he worked at the Smithsonian studying and documenting Omaha and Osage cultures. I'm assuming that's why so much was known about their family, is because he worked at the Smithsonian, so he had the ability to preserve it. Because like typically like this is like late 1800s, like I feel like you don't hear anything, like even from some of our like later cases, like you don't know much about their family or about the people. You kind of just know like what they did and their like big main thing, but we know a lot about them, so I'm assuming it's because of Francis. Then her second half sister, Lucy LaFlesche, she created a homestead on the reservation that doubled as a night school for some of the young men on the reservation. And she helped her brother, Francis, who was the ethnologist, in preserving Native American culture. So they would come to her house and she would let them record songs and chants and rituals, and they were all for the Smithsonian. And then the youngest was Carrie LaFlesche, who is described as not quite as scholarly, but he came back to the reservation and became a public figure. Like, I think he was, like, on the police force or something like that. So, like, R.I.P. him, because they were just like, eh. And then there's Carrie. So,
Was he the youngest?
Yeah, he was, like, the youngest of the youngest. So, like, he did stuff.
So, if it wasn't already obvious, Iron Eye was very big into education and his family. So, it was already a rough transition with the whiteification of the tribes, but Iron Eye tried to have his family do it on their own terms while kind of still holding on to their culture. So, her father was quoted saying, "Do you always want to be simply called those Indians, or do you want to go to school and be somebody in the world?" Susan grew up seeing the poor condition under which her people lived, as access to medical care was very scarce. She remembered that when she was 8 years old, seeing a sick village elder die because a white doctor deemed her life worthless, literally stating, quote, "It was only an Indian, it did not matter." He promised that he would come to her aid, but he never did. This enraged Susan so much that she made it her mission to become a doctor who treated everyone regardless of their origins.
Side note, I don't know if anyone has noticed, but when we say our words, we say Native or like Native Americans. And when we use the quotes, they say Indians. Now this one, I mean, I don't know if this just bothers me because I am an Indian from India. And I don't know if Native Americans have opinions on this, but when I was younger, it would always really, and it still does, it really bothers me that like Indigenous and like Native American people get called Indians because a white man made a mistake. Because they're not Indians, they're not from India, there's nothing Indian about them. They're native, they're indigenous to this land. So, that's my little soapbox. Regardless. So Susan's father, Iron Eyes, sent all of his children to Presbyterian mission schools, where they learned English and American customs. In his words, "There is a flood coming," quote, there is a flood coming, which will soon reach us, and I advise you to prepare for it. In fact, he believed this so much that he didn't even give Susan a native name because he felt that she needed to go forth into the white man's world.
That's kind of sad.
Yeah.
Because, like, they're, like, Native American names are so cool.
Right, and I feel like they're, like it's, like, one, like, a very important part of their culture, and she never got, like, a piece of that.
Right.
But, can we turn the light on? I feel like we're, like, becoming darkness.
Oh, yeah, it's getting darker in here. It's not a lot, but...
Yeah. But, they wrote a book about her, and they called her Medicine Woman, which I don't know if that's, like, a native name, or if they just called her that because she was a medicine woman.
Was it, like, the Native American people that gave her that name after? Or
I think it was,
like,
I think it's a modern writer who is Native American.
Okay.
So I suppose that could be her native name, but her parents never gave her one.
Right.
So when Susan was 14, she boarded a train from Nebraska to New Jersey. And this was back in the 1800s.
That's a long train ride.
That's a long train ride even today. Like, I was
Yeah.
looking at the little Amtrak trains. I was like, how long would it take me to go across the U.S.?
My-
Like, a week.
Yeah, my family, when we moved to Chicago, we did that by train. Don't ask why, but it took a couple days.
Yeah. I'm imagining, like, steam trains, like, back then would have taken,
you
like,
gotta,
a
like-
month.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. But Susan went to the Elizabeth School for Young Ladies. But 2 years later, she went to Hampton University in Virginia. This seems kind of like an undergraduate institution, but like specifically for former slaves and Native Americans. But it doesn't seem like it was like a bad school. It's like, I'm trying to like think of like a way to put it. Like, white people would be like, oh, this is like, I'm not gonna go to that school.
Was
but
it just like segregated?
kind of. I don't even think like segregation was like even an option at this
No,
point.
it
It's
was
like
too
you're not
early.
even like part of us. But it's like this is like one of the best schools you could achieve if you were Native or
Okay,
formerly slave.
I see.
So I don't think they had like real degrees because it doesn't say anything about Susan having like a bachelor's degree.
If you notice that it got darker, it's because my phone ran out of storage and we had to pause for a minute.
Momentary intermission. Okay, so back to Susan. So she went to. Wow, it got really dark.
It did get dark.
You can't even see me.
I'll just
Racist.
turn the brightness.
It's fine. You don't need to see me anyways. Just listen to me. But after Susan left Hampton University, she actually came second in her class. She was like super, super smart. And then she went back to the reservation and she taught at the Quaker Mission School. And during that time, she actually nursed a Harvard anthropologist, Alice Fletcher, back to health. I believe Alice Fletcher later marries her half-brother, what's his face? The ethnologist. I think they get married.
I have a little light for you.
Oh,
look.
wow, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So after Susan nurses Alice back to life, well, not to life, she wasn't dead, back to health,
I think we missed a chapter.
Alice is like, yo, you got a knack for this, like, go to medical school. And she's like, nah, I can't do that. And Alice is like, bro, what are you doing? Go to medical school. And she's like, alright, I guess I can. So in 1886, Susan was accepted into the Women's Medical College of Pennsylvania, which was like the first women's medical school. She actually graduated as valedictorian, and she graduated a year early in 1889. But unfortunately, Iron Eyes passed away 1 year prior and would never get to see his daughter become the first Native American physician.
No.
So sad.
I hate that. I hate that happens. I feel like every person we've covered, they've either died 1 year before recognition, or someone in their family dies right as they're achieving success.
Yeah. But I guess that's why they're partially this forgotten women and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They were never fully around to tell their stories.
This is true, but it's really sad.
Yeah.
So, Upon Susan's graduation, Susan returned to the Omaha reservation to treat its residents. Apparently, she worked alongside a white physician. Most of the natives would only be seen by Dr. Susan, leading the white physician to quit. So she was then left to be the only doctor for over 1,200 people, stretching over 400 miles of land. That was absolutely nerve-wracking for Susan. Mind you, she's only like 24 or 25. That's really young. Most doctors nowadays are at least...
I'd say like 29.
Yeah.
28, 29. 29 is
You're-
after residency?
You're in residency.
I think,
No?
you
Oh,
usually
no, 'cause it's-
graduate residency like 29 to like 31.
Right, if you're not taking any gap years and just...
Yes. Yeah.
That's crazy. So she's young.
I don't think residency existed back here.
No.
Yeah.
No, and it's probably shorter.
Yes.
So she lacked confidence in herself, feeling that everyone, trusted her abilities more than they should. But, truth be told, while many people trusted her, they were kind of nervous about the Western methods that she had been taught in Pennsylvania. It is said that her very first case back home was a young sick boy to whom she prescribed medication. She was so anxious that she went and found him the next day just to check on him, relieved to find out that he was feeling much better and that he could play outside with his friends. Very soon, Susan became more than just a physician to the members of the tribe. Soon they would come to her for both advice and leadership.
So Susan actually wanted to build a hospital on the reservation, but didn't have the funds to do so. At least not yet. And so she worked out of a small office in the reservation school and made house calls. And they weren't just your regular house calls. Because palliative care, hospice, that exists today. Physicians will come to your house. But this, she was traveling miles. She was hiking, on horseback, on foot, going to extreme lengths just to treat a single patient. And she was extremely committed too. She would provide food, cook meals, even stay days and weeks to nurse patients back to health. That is how much she cared.
That's so insane, because you said 400 miles that she was covering?
Yep.
Yeah, so from where we are to where we went to college is about 200 miles, and that takes about 4 hours to drive by vehicle.
Yeah.
So if she had to go to one side of where they were to halfway, how long do you think that would take her?
It takes approximately 20 minutes for me to walk 1 mile. So 200 miles, 4,000 minutes. So whatever 4,000 minutes is in hours.
Somebody do the math. And maybe calculate sleeping and eating into that. Okay.
No, we're going straight. Dude, I remember sorry, this is such a tangent. I remember, someone told me I had to come up with an invention in, high school.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, what is something that would be, useful, that, people would want to patent? And I was like, yes, a medication that will make you stay awake forever. And,
Forever?
never have to sleep. I was like, perfect, the army will use this. They'll use this to make their soldiers fight better, and so that
I think they've already done that. Or tried.
I feel like that's, low-key what cocaine is, no? Cocaine.
Yeah. Hi, my phone got full of storage again. Also, if the video quality gets worse if you're on YouTube, it's because we were filming in 4K, and, we don't have the capacity for that. Also, Disha's rant cut off because... What were you talking about?
Making superhumans for the military.
Unimportant. For legal reasons.
Quick version of it was that I wanted to create something that was important to the military, and I was like, the perfect thing is to create caffeine pills that will allow you to keep working without sleep. Now that I'm older, I realize that could be very highly weaponized and should not be created.
Good summary. Yes.
I don't remember what that has to do with Susan.
Well, back to Susan. So, in 1894, Susan married Henry Picotte.
Picotte!
I like his last name.
I know.
Henry was half French and half Yankton. Sue? Oh. Sue, okay. Who was part of traveling circuses. Okay, fancy. In 1892, Henry traveled to the Omaha reservation with his brother, who was married to Marguerite, one of Susan's older sisters. So, I suppose they fell in love and got married. Obviously, they were married. So, they defied social norms at the time because Henry took care of the farm, home, and children while Susan traveled and worked. Honestly, sounds like Henry just wanted to be a house husband, and who can blame him? Susan gave birth to 2 boys, Carol Carol in 1895, and Pierre in 1898. I like both of those names. Pierre. It is said that she would continue work as normal, but just bring along her baby boys.
That's what my parents used to do with me. They call me lab baby because they used to just like put my crib in the lab and just like rock me while pipetting.
Unfortunately. Why is there always an unfortunately?
Oh, there's a lot of unfortunately's.
Henry died. Henry died. In 1905 from tuberculosis, which was exacerbated by alcoholism.
It was said that he was a flaming alcoholic.
Dude, that's horrible. He was house husband, had everything, and then alcohol.
Well, he didn't have rights. He couldn't vote.
Yeah. But he had, like, house husband and loving wife, hopefully.
Yeah. So it appears that alcohol abuse was rampant among the reservation.
Oh.
Yeah. And Susan made it a target of her personal public health mission. Her father, Iron Eyes, actually started the very first reservation police force, and their whole purpose was, like, just prevent people selling alcohol, like, prevent alcohol traders from coming into the reservation.
Wow.
But when he died, they came back, and the alcoholism also came back. And, like, I know that alcohol abuse is, like, there are other ways to cope than alcoholism, but, like, they were not living the most luxurious life. Like, it was hard for them, so it is understandable. But Susan did write to the Commission of Indian Affairs, that is, like, the official government name for it, about the issues of alcoholism and tuberculosis and what they were causing in the Native American community, and she advocated for reform. And it did actually work. She ended up getting them to ban alcohol sales within the reservations.
Yeah. I'm like, I know alcohol is never a great solution, and sometimes it's understandable, but for our listeners today, it is never a long-term solution.
Please seek help.
Okay. In 1913, she gathered funds, all on her own, to open the hospital of her dreams in, one second, I'm a little blind, Walthill, Nebraska. It was the first hospital on the reservation that was not funded by the government. Her little hospital contained 2 general wards, 5 private wards, and a maternity ward, and an operating room. That's not so little. So, this helped people, both native and white, have more accessible care rather than traveling to Omaha or Sioux City. Unfortunately, Susan had been battling illness, and on September 18, 1915, at approximately 50 years old, that's so young!
Yeah.
She passed away.
Yeah, so she apparently had, like, been fighting the illness for 3 years, and it was, like, attributed to her, like, traveling so far for her patients, like, in the cold,
gosh.
not having proper, like, outerwear and stuff like that, and she just got sick from it.
Do we know what illness?
I didn't say which specific one. I think it's just, like, yeah. But she fought it for 3 years and then couldn't survive after. But luckily her legacy lived on for another 35 more years before the hospital itself officially closed. But the building remained, and it was converted into a memorial museum in her honor. But again, this left the Native American reservation without accessible health care. And so alcohol, drugs, and mental health issues continued to plague the Native American people. But currently, like as of right now, the Omaha tribe is working to build a brand new $8.3 million health education center to address these issues. Susan achieved more than her father ever could have dreamed of. She selflessly served the Omaha Nation and so many more. She saw healthcare without color, like at all. Like she did not care who you were. If you came to her doorstep, she was going to treat you and she was going to help you. Her ambition and perseverance led her to heights that not even most white women could achieve during that time. Like this is like one of the most astounding facts about like her entire case is that white women were struggling to do what she was doing, and she just went and did it as someone who could not vote, who had no rights, was not considered an American at the time. And so she was and still remains to be a trailblazer for young Native women and a role model for them to look up to.
Today, we stepped into the remarkable life of Dr. Susan Flesche Picotte, a woman who not only made history, but reshaped what was possible for future generations. As the first Native American physician in the United States, she carried on her shoulders not just a medical bag, but the weight of two worlds, navigating cultural divides with compassion, courage, and unwavering determination. Her legacy isn't just found in records or monuments, it lives on in the values she embodied: advocacy, community care, cultural respect, and the belief that health is a human right, not a privilege. The hospital she founded, the people that she healed, and the systems she challenged continue to echo in today's conversations about equity and access to care. So, as we close, let's carry forward her reminder that change often begins with a single person who refuses to accept the world as it is. Dr. Susan Flesche Picotte didn't wait for permission, she carved her own path and opened the door for countless others.
And that is the really cool story of Dr. Susan Flesche Picotte. The end. We finally made it without it crashing. Yay!
That's really cool.
Yeah, I know,